changing your narrative. Today we'll be focused on visiting the version of you when you were a child. It's very important at times for us to stop, slow our pace, and revisit those moments when we were a child. Because sometimes those childlike behaviors and the stuff that we went through as a child impacts the adult version of ourselves. And I'll share a quick story. As a child, I grew up in the New York City area in a subsidized housing apartment where everything around me was surrounded by poverty, limitations, folks with limited access to good education and resources, and really a lifestyle where people kind of grew up and lived within their 4 or 5 block perimeter. And I remember as a child seeing all this, I was impacted mentally and emotionally in thinking about how my adult life would be. Would it be like this? Would it be limited? Would I ever get out of those 4 block perimeters and get out to see the world? That followed me because that created a young version of me which became limited-minded, said, hey, I don't have access to resources. Hey, I can't have a voice. Who would listen? Who would pay attention? Because some of these people in the community, like myself, felt abandoned because other people in other areas across the city, across the world, and even the nation had access to stuff that we didn't have. So as a child, I was raised in this mindset. And that mindset followed me as I became a teenager. That little girl in me kept following me with limitations, with living with some aggressiveness in herself because she felt like she was being cheated out of stuff. Why? Why am I going through this? Why is this so painful? Why are we so poor? Why don't we have access to stuff? Why are we limited? Why is it generation after generation not leaving this area or not being exposed to things better? So as I kept growing up, I kept questioning, but the girl still followed me. She still existed. So as I became an adult and I became who I'm becoming today, I had to stop a couple years ago and revisit that little girl. And what I remember when I revisit that girl is remember the days where I used to look out the window, where some of you will know in the city, there's fire escapes, where people have gates on their window. And looking through those gates and looking outside those windows and seeing the pain and saying, this cannot continue. This cannot be. People have amazing gifts in them, but because of society and because of their environment, they remain confined and don't get access to unlimited opportunities. When I revisited that girl, I saw that little girl looking out that window. I saw that girl full of pain, full of questions, full of the question of how was she going to get out of it? What can life offer her? How can she be impactful if this is what she was born into? This is what she grew up in. This is what poverty looked like. This is what being myself, a Hispanic, with first language Spanish. I did not know the English language at the young age. That started building while I went into the school system. So why I'm sharing all this is sometimes we need to slow down and start thinking about what narrative, what voice is impacting today's decisions? Sometimes it's that little girl that comes out that I have to work on, continue working on through the pain she went through the limitations, through that mindset of I'm not going to be enough to impact this world. And I revisit that little girl and I assure her that yes, you started there, but that's not the end of your story. You have to continue pushing through and not allow your pain and suffering to come out and take ownership of the life that you're seeking today. So I want to leave you with slow down, take a moment to think about your childhood. Think about what happened. Think about how others impacted you. Think about how your environment, your society impacted you, and how you may still be carrying that little person, that little child within you today as an adult, and have to pivot, sit with them, cuddle them through their pain. Get them to start thinking that that cup of limitations that they were given when they were born is a cup no more. It's endless capacity, endless possibilities, and they can make an impact in their life. So, I tell you today, visit that young child version of you and see what things are coming today and still living today that you have to handle in order to change your narrative moving forward.